Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session where we are going to be discussing tourism. We are going to be preparing for the June examination. So I'm going to go through this particular paper, which appears on your screen there. So the duration, it will be 2 hours. Then in terms of mark allocation, that will be 150 marks. So the first thing is that all questions are compulsory. So we are going to attempt all questions. Then moving on to question 1. In each of the following questions, 4 options are provided as possible answers. Choose the correct answer and write only the letter A to D next to the question number. For example, 1.1.1 up until 1.1.15 on your answer paper, e.g. 1.1.16D. So this diagram shows an example of N. So the first thing which we need to do, we need to look at where this particular tourist is traveling from. So we do have 3 cities which are involved here. We actually have 2 cities instead. We have Johannesburg as the starting point. Then we also have Cairo as the ending point. So if you look at this particular flight, you can see that this person did not leave Africa. He or she flew from one African city to the next African city. So such a type of a flight is known as a transcontinental flight. It is when you fly between or across a continent. So that's an example of a transcontinental flight. Now, moving on to the next one, 1.1.2, South Africa's national airports are operated by. So South Africa's national airports are operated by an organization which is known as Airports Companies South Africa, which is abbreviated as ACSA. So the correct answer in this scenario would be ACSA, which you can also call ACSA. That's the Airports Company South Africa. Then 1.1.3, thermal body scanners. Okay, at an airport, I think you are aware that passengers are subjected to thermal body scans. So the reason why they are subjected to thermal body scans is to prevent the spread of diseases from one point to the next. So thermal body scanners are there to prevent the spread of disease. Then the Gautrain route is, okay, the Gautrain route, from the name itself, this is a train service which is found within Gauteng. So when we are choosing our answer, then it should have something to do with Gauteng. So the Gauteng route is from OR Tambo International Airport. Then it also links various stations across the province. So, but mainly is from OR International Airport, that is Oliver Tambo Airport. Then moving on to 1.1.5, insurance taken on rented vehicles does not cover. Okay, when you take insurance on rented vehicles, it does not cover your own medical emergencies. It does not cover your own medical emergencies. It can cover theft, it can cover fire damage, it can cover collision damage, but it does not cater for medical emergencies. Then 1.1.6, the bunny chow is spicy curry in a hollowed out half loaf is part of the Indian cuisine. That is part of Indian food, or that is part of Indian diet. So it is actually part of Indian cuisine. Then South Africa celebrates Heritage Day. Heritage Day in South Africa is celebrated on the 24th of September each year. So Heritage Day is celebrated on the 24th of September. Then a compartment where 2 passengers are accommodated. So when you talk about a compartment which can accommodate 2 passengers, the best option which we have then, it is considered to be a twin room, simply because it will be able to accommodate 2 passengers in different, perhaps it might be 2 or 2 beds which will be separate. So we consider that to be a twin room. Then the inbound international tourist can be best described as. The term inbound, the keyword inbound international tourist can be best described as a. When you talk about inbound tourists, we are talking about tourists who comes into a country from another country. They are coming from another country into South Africa. They are considered to be inbound. So the correct answer then will be a tourist who comes into a country from another country. That is what we refer to as an inbound tourist. Then an amount added to a bill of a customer who is renting a vehicle from the airport. It is known as the airport surcharge. That is the extra amount which you are charged or which is addressed to the bill of a customer who is renting a vehicle from the airport. So we refer to that too as an airport surcharge. Then 1.1.11, the multiplier effect in tourism refers to a situation where money generated from tourism that leads to money spent on other products or services. For example, if a tourist arrives in South Africa, they spend money on tourism-related products and services, and that money ends up in other sectors of the economy. So the correct answer then will be B. The money generated from tourism leads to money spent on other products and services. So it flows into other sectors of the economy. That is what we refer to as the multiplier effect. Then the next question, which of the following attractions can be described as a South African cultural attraction? So when you talk about cultural attractions, we are talking about things which have something to do with history, things which have something to do with people's culture. So it includes things such as history is part of cultural attractions. Then we also talk about cuisine. Then we talk about music as well. So in this case, if you look at the Table Mountain, you can see that this is actually a natural attraction. Then if you look at the Cape Epic mountain bike race, you can actually see that this is a sporting event. The Fish River Canyon, it is actually a natural attraction. So the option which we are left with there is Soweto. I think you know that Soweto is a township with a vibrant history, with a vibrant culture. So there's so much to do which is related to culture in Soweto. So Soweto can be described as a South African cultural attraction. Moving on to 1.1.13, a cultural group from South Africa that is famous for their wall paintings and brightly colored patterns on the walls of their houses. So this practice, it is common in Mpumalanga amongst the people who are called the Ndebele people. So they have a practice of painting, wall paintings, using brightly colored patterns on the walls of their houses. Then 1.1.14, on a domestic flight, air is most likely to be confiscated from a passenger at a security control point. If you look at various things which you have seen there, a laptop is permissible, headache pills are allowed, a cell phone is allowed, though you may not operate it. It should be on airplane mode. But a pair of nail clippers might be considered to be a security threat. So the correct answer here would be A. Then the organization responsible for the protection of South Africa's local heritage. So this organization is known as the South African Heritage Resources Agency. So it is abbreviated as SARA. So SARA will be the correct answer there, the South African Heritage Resources Agency. Then moving on to 1.2, choose the correct word in brackets. Write down only the correct word next to the question number. So in this case, I am actually going to highlight the correct answer in each scenario. So the food that Muslim people are allowed to eat is known as halal food. So halal, that is the food which is permissible to eat according to according to the Islam religion. So it is referred to as halal food. Moving on to the other option, which is the kosher, it is food which is acceptable to be eaten by Jews or by those who practice Judaism. Then moving on to 1.2.2, the Union Building is in which city? So the Union Building is actually located in the capital city, which is known as Pretoria. So in this case, Pretoria would be our correct answer. Rickshaw Heights are a cultural attraction in Durban. So the culture of riding rickshaws, it is common in Durban. So the correct answer there would be Durban. Then Pilgrim's Rest is located in Mpumalanga, a place known as Pilgrim's Rest. It is located in the Eastern Province, which is also known as Mpumalanga. Then 1.2.5, South Africa's marketing campaign is known as the Short Left campaign. South Africa's marketing campaign is famously known as the Short Left campaign, which brings us to the next question, which is question 1.3. 1.3 reads, match the descriptions in column B with the term in column A. Write only the letter A to G next to the question number 1.3.1 to 1.3.5 in your answer book, for example, 1.3.7K. So in this case, we are going to be writing the correct letter next to the question number. So the first question reads, airport surcharges. So we need to find a proper definition of airport surcharges. So an airport surcharge, it is a charge that applies to every rented vehicle from an airport. So the correct letter there, which we'll be adopting or which we'll be taking, is the letter C. So an airport surcharge, that is a charge that applies to every rented vehicle from an airport. Then the next question, a domestic flight. When we are talking about a domestic flight, we are talking about the definition of the term domestic flight. We are talking about if so on 1.3.2, a domestic flight, we are talking about a fixed scheduled flight. So the letter C will be the one which will be applicable for this one. Then when we talk about the landslide, we are talking about where passengers can park at an airport. Where passengers can park at an airport, which is represented by the letter F. That is what we refer to as a landslide. Then a cruise terminal. A cruise terminal refers to a place at a harbor or a port where a ship can dock with the purpose of offloading passengers or goods. So the correct answer here will be the letter G, which you write here. This is known as a cruise terminal. Then a charter flight. A charter flight, it is actually an unscheduled flight. Charter flights are basically hired flights or hired aeroplanes which do not operate according to a specific fixed schedule. So it is an unscheduled flight. So the correct answer would be A. So let me go through the answers again. 1.3.1, that's C. Then domestic flight, that's E. Landside, F. Then cruise terminal, G. Then charter flight will be represented by the letter A. These are the appropriate responses for that particular question. All right. Then study the statements below and identify the term or concept associated with each. Which river forms the northern border between the Northern Cape and Namibia? That will be the Orange River. It forms the northern border between Northern Cape and Namibia. That will be known as, that is the Orange River. All right, where do passengers carry on baggage during a flight? So baggage is stored in the cargo hold. It is stored in cargo hold, or it can be in overhead storage bins. It can be in overhead storage bins. Then the next question, a breakfast that consists of bread rolls, cheese, and fruit. That is basically a breakfast which consists of meals which are not hot. So these are cold meals. So this is known as a continental continental breakfast. This is known as the continental breakfast. Then the next question reads, what is described by the abbreviation CDW? So CDW, it is a type of insurance which is known as collision, damage, waiver. It is a type of insurance which is known as collision damage waiver, CDW. Then in which part of the aircraft can the pilot be found? The pilot is found in the cockpit. The pilot operates from the cockpit. So which brings us to the end of the first question. So now we are moving on to the next question, which, okay, we are moving on to the next question, which is question 2. So when it comes to question 2, we start by reading the scenario itself. There's a scenario about the airports companies South Africa. I think you can see the logo of the airports companies South Africa. You can see its logo. And also, well, we need to read the case study, tourism sectors, airports, airlines, and airport operations. Read the following case study and answer the questions. Airports Companies South Africa was founded in 1993 as a public company under the Companies Act of 1973, as amended, and the Airport Company Act of 1993 as amended. Although Airports Companies South Africa is majority owned by the South African government through the Department of Transport, the company is legally and financially autonomous and operates under commercial law. An important component of the recent colossal task was to ensure that there was smooth and hassle-free transfer to the new infrastructure, together with its immediate and effective operation in 2010. This, in world airport terms, is undoubtedly the task that has most challenged airports around the world. In a country that is troubled by chronic unemployment, Airports Company South Africa is pleased to be contributing to the job creation in South Africa, achieved through infrastructure investments and partnerships that we are developing with the private sector. As recognized by global consulting firm Mott MacDonald, the investment by AXA in infrastructure development has been appropriate, leading to a significant socio-economic benefits. It is estimated that 3 major international airports sustain about 300,000 jobs, direct and indirect, and that planned future developments as a result of passenger and cargo growth will result in the creation of 150,000 new jobs over the next 10 years, provided the envisaged infrastructure development plans are realized. Formed to own and operate the 9 principal South African airports, including the 3 main international gateways of OR Tambo, Cape Town, and King Shaka international airports. AXA added Pilanesberg International Airports to its network in the 1998 under the 30-year concession with the Northwest Province. As well as providing world-class secure infrastructure for airlines to transport the people and goods, AXA extends its responsibilities to include the promotion of tourism, the facilitation of economic growth and job creation, and protection of the environment. So the next question says, name the tourism sector that AXA falls under. So AXA, it falls under the transport sector. It falls under the transport sector because it is responsible for maintenance of airports and operations of airports. So it falls under the transport sector. Then discuss the colossal task that AXA had in 2010. So our answer, we take it from paragraph 2, line number 2. It begins actually in line number 1 in paragraph 2. An important component of their colossal task was to ensure that there was a smooth and hassle-free transfer to new infrastructure. So, to ensure a smooth and hassle-free transfer to ensure a smooth and hassle-free transfer of infrastructure. Then the next question reads, what does the abbreviation AXA stands for? So AXA, you get your answer even from the logo itself. It stands for Airports Company South Africa. So I'm going to write it next to the question itself. AXA stands for Airports Company South Africa. That is the full meaning of the abbreviation. Then moving on to the next question, read the airline timetable below and answer the questions based on it. So we have the days, we have the departure, we have the arrival, the flight number, and we also have the two cities involved from Addis Ababa at GMT plus 3 to Johannesburg, which is, so there's a time difference between Johannesburg and Addis Ababa. So we have the various dates from 27 October, from the 3 November. So the first question says, state the departure and arrival cities. So there are two cities which have been identified there. So the first city will be the city of Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Addis Ababa. Then the next city will be Johannesburg. So the first city, which is Addis Ababa, would be our departure city. This one stands for the departure city. That's where the plane is coming from. Then Johannesburg will be the city of arrival. This will be the arrival city. So those are the two cities which are involved. Then indicate whether the airline in question 2.2.1 is intercontinental or transcontinental. So this is a typical example of a transcontinental flight. Transcontinental. Because it is crossing or is flying across a single continent. So it is considered to be transcontinental. So the difference between a transcontinental and intercontinental flights involve intercontinental flights involve two or more continents. These ones involve two or more continents, whilst transcontinental flights are flights across a single continent. So that's the difference between transcontinental and intercontinental. Transcontinental flights are flights across a single continent, whilst on the other hand, intercontinental flights involve two or more continents. So it can be, for example, when you fly from Africa to America, that will be considered to be an intercontinental flight. But when we are flying within the same continent without crossing into the other continent, is considered to be a transcontinental flight. Now, moving on to the next question. The next question, 2.3. The following illustrations or pictures A to E represent control points of facilities. Name each of the control points of facilities. Include the function of each point of facility. So we are going to start by looking at the first one. So then there is also the second one and also the third one. All right. So the first thing, if you look at the first image and see a gentleman who is being assisted at a counter. So that counter is most likely to be a check-in counter. So that can be a check-in counter. The first one will be a check-in counter. And the purpose of the check-in counter is you present travel documents. That is when you present your travel documents to the various officials. It can be your passport, it can be your boarding pass and other things. So that is the first plus. Then if we move on to the next one, if you look at B, you can actually say, you can actually tell that that is the baggage. That's when the place where the baggage control area. All right, so they search, or that is where checking of luggage. That is the baggage control area whereby they check the luggage. Then when you look at the next one, which is C, that is the information display. That is the information display board. It gives flight information. This one is responsible for giving of flight information. Then if you look at D, that is, if you look at D, let's look closely at the image. There is a lady who is waiting probably for the what? For the baggage. So you can actually call it the baggage claim area. Collection of checked luggage. Then moving on to the next one. The next one, it's a boarding pass. It is actually a document. All right, the purpose of a boarding pass, it is a ticket-like form. Looks like a ticket form with flight details. Contains names of the passengers. Seat number. Flight number. Departure. etc. So those are the different functions of different either documents or facilities. So now moving on to the next one. All right, cruises and car rentals, that is the next subheading. So use the following information to answer the questions that follow. So we read the extract. As we are reading the extract, we also take note of the key points. So the Smith family from Gauteng has decided to go on a 3-day luxury cruise to Mozambique. So it's going to be 3 days. The destination is Mozambique. They will rent a vehicle from Africa Car Hire and drive to Durban. Then they will stop. They will drop the car off at the airport. Then they would leave on a 3-day cruise. Those are the key highlights. When they return from their cruise, they will fly back to Gauteng. Now, the question reads, give the departure point for their cruise. So, they will rent a vehicle from Africa Car Hire and drive to Durban, where they will drop off the car at the airport. Then they will leave on the 3-day cruise. So, the departure point will be, in this case, it will be Durban. The departure point will be Durban. Durban will be our departure point. Will they need passports for this holiday? Give a reason for your answer. Simply because they are going to a foreign country, which is Mozambique. Yes, they would require a passport. Yes, the family, the Smith family, needs passports. They are going to a foreign country. They are going to Mozambique, which is a foreign country. In order for you to go to Mozambique, you need to be carrying a passport. They are going to a foreign country. Give 2 activities on a boat cruise liner that may appeal to the 2 teenage. Yes, they can enjoy rides on theme parks. Or on water parks. They can also watch movies on the cruise ship, attend concerts, they can also play video games, etc. So all those are various activities which can be embarked on whilst on board. Then moving on to the next one. Give one advantage of the family using 3 different modes of transport. Okay, the 3 modes of transport match the family's itinerary. They are suitable for the family's itinerary. It is suitable for the family's itinerary. Remember, they are supposed to move from inland to the port. So that type of a journey would require a car. Then they also need to move from one port to the next port in Mozambique. That would require a cruise ship. Then they would want to fly back to their original destination, to their original point of departure, which would require a flight. So it suits their itinerary well. Moving on to the next type of transport, trains and buses. All right, list 2 things that a tourist can get from a bus timetable. So a bus timetable, it carries crucial information on the departure time, in addition to the departure time, the arrival time. In addition to that, the frequency of the bus. How often does it travel? Then coach number, etc. Number, etc. So that is important information which you can find on a bus schedule. Then moving on to the next thing, do you think an open site seeing bus is a good thing for a city in terms of tourism? Yes, it is actually a good idea in terms of city tourism, simply because it allows a city sightseeing bus allows tourists, it actually allows tourists to follow a specific tourist route. It allows tourists to follow a specific tourist routes, then which links the main attractions. It allows you to follow a specific tourism route which links the main attraction. For example, if you take a city sightseeing bus from Johannesburg, it can take you on a particular route, perhaps to Soweto, via Vilakazi Street, the Soweto Towers, and many other places of interest. So it follows a specific tourist route. Plus, in addition to that, usually there are tour guides on the city sightseeing bus. So those tour guides usually provide commentary or explanations, detailed explanations about the trip itself. They provide detailed explanations about the trip itself. Then moving on to the next one, explain two benefits of the Gautrain for the tourism industry in South Africa. So the Gautrain has several benefits for the tourism industry in South Africa. So it actually reduces congestion. It reduces congestion of cars. Then in addition to that, it takes tourists from OR Tambo, from and to OR Tambo International Airports to different places in South Africa. So it transports tourists from OR Tambo International Airport to different destinations within Gauteng province. Then we move on to the next question, the garden route. The garden route, Cape Town to Port Elizabeth. So we have frequency. We do have 1, 2, 3. Then we do have ellipses up to 6, 7. Then we also have 6, 7, then 4, 5, 6. So this is the frequency of the what? Of the routes. So the routes peak season, luxury double 23,000, deluxe 16,000, economy class, that is 15,500. Rates of peak season, luxury double 19,000, deluxe 13,000, economy class 10,000. So Mr. Masemula would like to travel from Cape Town to Port Elizabeth on Wednesday. State his departure time. So if we are choosing Wednesday, Wednesday is it is actually the third day of the week. So if he's departing on Wednesday, that will be the first will be on a Sunday, second on a Monday, then on a Tuesday. So if he's departing on a Wednesday, his departure time will be at 11 o'clock. The departure time would be at 11 o'clock. Then explain your own understanding of the frequency as used in the schedule. So frequency, it's how often the train travels within a month or within a week? How often the train travels within a week or month? How often, how many times does it travel in a particular direction or in a particular route? So that is what is meant by the term frequency. Then the next question, calculate the duration of the train trip from Cape Town to Port Elizabeth. So if you look at Cape Town, the duration will be, if a train leaves at if it leaves trip 1, if it leaves at 1400 hours, then it arrives at 9:30. So we need to calculate. So we say 24 minus 14 is equals to 10 hours plus 9.5 hours, which is 9:30. So our duration of the journey is 19 hours, 30 minutes. That is 19 hours, 30 minutes. That is the duration of the trip from Cape Town to Port Elizabeth. Study the extract below and answer the questions that follow. So we do have nothing is more fun, more than a short left. The 2nd of April to the 4th of April 2021, Soweto Camp Festival Adventure. Soweto's very own camping and music festival. The township hosts camping visitors annually at the historic Mulife Park. Imagine enjoying a safe and secure festival under the Soweto sky, rich with heritage, history, and culture, coupled with great people, experiences, and beautiful memories. Spontaneous budget explorers enjoy a great line up of activities, including quad biking, bungee jumping, indigenous games, a bicycle tour, a horse and a carriage tour, live bands, and numerous stores. Come and spend the Easter weekend in Soweto. So the question then reads, identify the domestic market segments targeted in the travel deal on the short left website. So this is targeted mainly at spontaneous budget explorers. Budget explorers. This is something which is targeted at spontaneous budget explorers. Then the next question, motivate your answer 5.1 by supplying the following information on the profile of the identified market segment. So when we look at spontaneous budget explorers, we are looking at people who are usually, in terms of age groups, they are young, between the ages of 25, perhaps to the early 40s. Then they like to have a getaway. From monotonous city life. City routine. All right, so the reason for traveling, to break the routine, break up the routine. Then moving on to the next question, name 4 key objectives of the domestic tourism growth strategy and explain how they plan to achieve each one of the objectives. So the first thing is the first objective of the domestic travel, it is to The first objective, it is to increase the number of domestic tourism or tourists, to increase or to accelerate the volume of domestic tourists. To increase the number of domestic tourists. In addition to that, you can also say that to increase revenue. Revenue, we are referring to money. So to increase domestic tourism revenue as well. In addition to that, to reduce seasonality, which is traveling in particular seasons. For example, you can actually notice that most people in South Africa, they travel during the December holidays. So one of the aims of the domestic tourism strategy is to reduce seasonality. In addition to that, you can also say that to increase the geographical spread of tourism, instead of people going to specific towns only, but they can go to various destinations. To increase the geographical spread So to increase the geographical spread of tourism, that is another aim of the domestic growth strategy. All right, so here we have different photographs of attractions in South Africa. So a relaxed sea holiday in December. Attend the World Skateboard Championships over a weekend in Gauteng for free as a spectator. Take the family on a once in a lifetime to the Kruger National Park. So for the first one, a relaxed sea holiday in December. So perhaps this one can be for seasoned travelers. Then the first one, it can be for seasoned travelers. Then this one, it can be for the spontaneous budget explorer. It can be for them as spontaneous budget explorer. Then this take the holiday into a night. It can be for new horizon families. Or the other ones, it can also be the well-to-do Mzansi families. It can be for well-to-do Mzansi families. New horizon families, they like to educate children during travel. All right, then these ones, they take advantage of discounts. Traveling is a way of life. For these ones, traveling is their usual way of life. Then, why is it necessary for the domestic tourism industry to separate the domestic tourist into different market segments? One reason to create tailor-made products which suits different tastes and various budgets. To create tailor-made products which suits different tastes and various budgets. Now, moving on to the next question, culture, heritage, and tourism in South Africa. The object of SARA is to coordinate the identification and management of the national estate. The aims are to introduce an integrated system for the identification, assessment, and management of the heritage resources, and to enable provincial and local authorities to adopt powers to protect and manage them. The national estate encompasses heritage resources of cultural significance for the present community. For future generations, it may include places in which oral traditions are attached or which are associated with living heritage, historical settlements, landscapes, natural features of cultural significance, archaeological and paleontological sites, graves and burial grounds, including ancestral and royal graves and graves of traditional leaders, graves of victims of conflict, and sites relating to history. So the first question, write the acronym of SARA in full. So SARA is known as the South African Heritage Resources Agency. The full acronym of SARA is the South African Heritage Resources Agency. Then the next question, explain the importance of conserving heritage for preservation for future generations. We are supposed to conserve heritage for future generations. Two aims of SARA. So the aims of SARA, we need to introduce an integrated system for the identification and management of heritage resources. So two aims of SARA. The first thing, identification of heritage sites and the management of those sites. Management and preservation of sites. Management and preservation of heritage sites. Then 6.1.14, 6.1.4, states provides two benefits for the site if it receives national heritage status. So if a site is considered or it is given national heritage site status, this is actually good because 6.1.4, if a site receives heritage status, it means that it attracts more tourists. National heritage sites attract more tourists, generating income Then national heritage sites also get funding. Receive funding for preservation. Funds for conservation and preservation. And preservation. So they receive money from government, which is meant to conserve them or to preserve them. All right, the next question. It requires us to read from the extract. When a traveler writing photography team visited Papua New Guinea on a guided tour last year, they found that fellow tourists ranged from those careful to respect local etiquette to those with a relentlessly North American perspective. From the Papua's point of view, foreigners paid much needed cash for crafts and for dance performances at the cost of occasionally boorish behavior. Elsewhere in the world, similar cross-cultural contacts with indigenous people also produce mixed results. Our tourist dollars can do a lot of often unrecognized goods, not only by helping financially, but by placing public value on local arts, culture, dance, music, and heritage that might otherwise disappear as developing countries rush to emulate the industrialized world. Outsiders bring a host of problems to conspicuous world that raises local hopes to unrealistic levels. Clothing and behavior that locals may find shocking, unhealthy eating habits, intrusive behavior, and in the worst cases, trash and pollution, condensation and racism, and even sexual exploitation. Explain the term culture. All right, the term culture refers to the arts, culture refers to the arts, and outward manifestation. It refers to the arts and outward manifestation of human achievement, of human intellectual achievement. It refers to the arts and to the outward manifestation of human intellectual achievement. That is what is known as culture. So from the extract, identify the phrase that indicates cultural clash. So a phrase which indicates cultural clash. All right, we go back. We can take this, the cost of occasionally boorish behavior. Discuss how South Africa's cultural uniqueness and diversity in a paragraph. All right. So 6.2.3. South Africa is a melting pot of diverse South Africa is a melting pot of diverse cultural influences. Each province Well, there is so much cultural diversity to enjoy in South Africa. Cultural diversity ranges from So the first point is that South Africa is a melting pot of diverse cultural influences. So there are different cultures in South Africa. Each province represents cultural uniqueness. There is so much cultural diversity to enjoy in South Africa. Cultural diversity ranges from Khoisan culture, Zulu culture, Ndebele culture, Xhosa culture, Venda, Sotho, and Pedi. And also we have Tsonga culture. Then other exotic cultural influences can also be found in places such as Durban and also where you'd find the Indian cultures flourishing there. Then you also find the Cape Malay culture flourishing there. So the first thing which I would want also to indicate here is there is a question also which says discuss how cultural uniqueness and diversity that has been handled. How can cultural diversity promote tourism in South Africa? So cultural diversity, it promotes domestic tourism in the sense that each province is something unique to offer. Each province has something unique to offer. So different people will be keen to experience different cultures. They would be keen to experience various cultures. So they can move from place to place, different cultures, different provinces have different cultures. So people become curious to enjoy or to explore different cultures. Then suggest two negative impacts that can be caused by tourists who fail to respect culture of them local people. It can lead to conflict and exploitation as well. It can lead to conflict and exploitation of the people who are being visited. So there's the need to recognize other people's culture. Then identify the following cultural groups. So in the first cultural group, we have, this is the Zulu cultural group. All right, we can tell from the dressing, from the way the animal skins which the men are putting on, then even from the beehive type of hat, which is also common in Zululand. Then you can also tell from the way the lady is dressed. So that is mainly from is Zulu culture. Then the next one is prevalent in the Northwest. Sorry, the next is prevalent in the Eastern Cape. So mainly, this is the Xhosa cultural group. We can tell by the boys who are attending initiation school. So they are represented by that. Then the next one. All right. The next one is actually it's represented, we can tell by the traditional yet of the Sotho speaking people. So this is actually Sotho culture, which also goes through initiation. So point of correction, this is then Sotho culture. Then the next one, this is actually the Ndebele culture. As you can see, it is represented by the beautifully painted and colorful walls which are painted. So this is the Ndebele culture of Mpumalanga. So we have three cultural groups represented there. So the first one is the Ndebele culture. Then we also have the Sotho culture. Then we also have the Zulu cultural groups. Those are the various, the different cultures which are represented in the images. Now let's move on to the next one. Study the following marketing technique and answer the questions that follow. So, Base Petnica, a travel agency, flight and cruise holidays. They offer December special offer, book and get one night free accommodation. They are available on Twitter, which is now known as X. Then Instagram, they are also there. Then also on Facebook, they are also there. So identify the promotional type, techniques used by Penica, travel, them above the line, and also the below the line. So on above the line, we can see that they have an online presence. Online adverts, that is above the line. Online adverts. Then we can also see that they also have billboards, that is above the line. So we have two. Then in terms of below the line, we can see that there is what you call it, loyout program, whereby if you what you call it, if you book, so you have loyalty programs. If you book something, loyalty programs. If you book, you get one night accommodation for free. So then we also have catalogs. That is an example of a catalog also, which appears there, which shows, all right, online adverts. So even social media is on at the above line. Then moving on to the next one, study the examples of marketing techniques and answer the questions. So we have the first one, promotional material B, that is from an online billboard. Then we have the second one also from an online platform. Suggest one type of tourist that will be attracted by promotional material A and B. So if you look at A and B, if we first look at B, students, so we are talking about educational tourists for the second one, which is B. Here we are talking about an educational tourist. Or you can also say a backpacker tourist. Or you can even say a gap year tourist. All right, then the next one, basically, this is get away this weekend. We are talking about leisure tourists. Adventure tourists as well. Tourists. These are the different types of tourists who might be appealed by different adverts. Then identify the type of below the line marketing promotional technique used in each of the advertisements used below the line promotional techniques. All right, so in the first one, we have save up to 25%. We have discounts. They've been in a discount has been offered. A discount has been offered in A. Then in B, there is a credit facility, a credit offer of 400. So these are the two techniques which have been used here. The first one has been given a discount. Then the second one, it offers you a free credit facility there. Explain why the promotional techniques are effective marketing strategies for the above tourism business. So this type of all right, these techniques drive conversion rates they drive conversion rates, then they result in a direct, immediate response. They convince the target market. They convince the target market to take action. They actually convince the target market to take action immediately. So that's why they can be referred to as effective marketing strategies. Then moving on to the next question. The next question, which is 7.2.4. Identify 4 types of costs related to marketing. All right, so marketing is a very expensive exercise. So there are several, costs associated with marketing. So the advertising part itself, it's very expensive. You pay for airtime, especially if you're broadcasting on air. You pay for airtime or airspace. Then content creation itself, generating content is an expensive exercise. Then sales promotion through offering discounts. Then in addition to that, we also have personnel or human resources. Then we also have rates for local authorities. or online platforms. Various rates which are associated with online platforms and different authorities. So this brings us to the end of this discussion, this memo discussion for this particular paper, which can prepare you for the actual examination itself. So we encourage you to go through it, and you can master the various concepts which have been discussed in this particular discussion. Thank you.